What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Champion Living Podcast, where we believe that consistency, perseverance, and not taking life too seriously are the keys to success. I'm Doug, the founder and owner and head coach of Champion Living Fitness. Each week, I'll be joined by my coaching staff with the vision of providing trustworthy information about fitness, nutrition, and mindset, and how this all applies to being a professional rodeo athlete, as well as people from all walks of life. Are you ready to become a champion? Let's go.
And the cinnamon, I like the cinnamon or Zen or whatever. Cinnamon, but
those things are too small.
But the
Size wise,
the Rogue ones, not only are they huge, but they will they like burn a hole in my lip. The cinnamon flavored ones, they're spicy. I'm just not a man apparently. So
clearly we knew that.
We were talking about Grizzly coming out with their own nicotine pouches, so that'll be great.
Are they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little battery acid in there. Battery acid. It was Paul said the display was Grizzly pouches, like nicotine pouches, but for men. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm not a man.
I swear, I was going to take a picture of it. If I go back to the gas station later, I'll take a picture of it.
Oh, I wish you would have.
It was funny.
I wish you would have.
It was funny.
That's hysterical.
So,
but for
coming
men.
soon, coming soon to a convenience store near you, near your local trailer park.
I want to see what's in them.
I do too. I'm waiting for that. I'll wait for that guy to spin them out and do a little purity test on them.
Yeah. I love watching
the Zen Smooth. There was two flavors, the Smooths and one other flavor. It had no other. Like there was no cooling agents or anything in them. They were the most pure pouches.
I've been on the Smooth since day one, baby.
Yep.
They're my favorite. But they are extremely hard to find right now.
Yeah, I was talking to I don't know. There was something with Congress like saying that they never got approved through the FDA.
Yep.
Oh, really?
And then I think it's a big
I heard some other rumors like that they couldn't get the
manufacturer
couldn't get the lids or something for them.
That's interesting.
I heard FDA.
Is it just the Zen brand or nicotine pouches in general?
Yeah, no, just Zen brand because Zen applied for their FDA approval in 2020. Yeah, 4 years ago, and they haven't been approved yet.
Yeah,
so they just like rolled on with it and still haven't gotten the.
Well, it's only because they're wildly successful. Probably I mean, it's not even an argument. It's the most well-known nicotine pouch brand out there. I mean, if you're you use the term Zen just to refer to all other brands of nicotine pouches. You know what I'm saying? So they're just crushing it out there. Oh, I'm sure it is. The government's like, whoa.
Well, I think what it did to U.S. smokeless probably is.
Mm-hmm.
And probably smoking like cigarettes, honestly.
Yep.
Like you think about all of us, well, all three of us. Tyler doesn't chew, I don't think, or didn't chew. And then I was looking at everyone at all the schools we do. I've been at rodeos all the last this whole feels like 2 weeks, but it was 4 rodeos in 1 week. Everyone is chewing Zen.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yep.
And we all used to chew Copenhagen.
Yep.
And so you think about what that did to U.S. smokeless sales is probably unreal.
Yeah,
on the decrease. So there's still some guys that chew Copenhagen. Like you said, I had a pinch the other day too. I hadn't had one in it feels like years.
Yeah,
and I guess I'm not man enough either because I wasn't able to enjoy it that long. I was like,
it was. I mean, it's okay, but I don't get anything. I don't get anything out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a change of pace, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did hear like the standard milligrams for nicotine and the like the Swedish pouches, like over in Sweden and stuff.
Right? In a regular can of chew, I think there's like 23 milligrams of nicotine in a full can of like Copenhagen.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
really? Oh,
I don't
wow.
know that off. I don't know that
that's
off
a
the
lot
top of my head,
less.
but you're getting substantially less per pinch. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I know some guys that are probably getting 15. They're probably they take a half a can of the 3-finger chews, but
Yeah, like 15 milligrams is like the standard. Like that's the normal one in
really
Sweden. Yeah,
in
they use
Sweden,
15,
that's
and they
interesting.
go up and down from there. Like there's more too. You can get like 20 or 25 or something.
I had a 12 one time. I don't remember what brand it was. I've never seen them in the store, so it might have been illegal. I'm not sure. But Tyler Waltz had these pouches, and he's like, "Hey, I can't chew these. Do you want these?" I'm like, "Sure." And they were 14 milligram, and I'm like, "I'll give one a whirl." You want to talk about put a guy down? I was like, "Whoa, ain't doing that." I had one out of there, and I threw the rest in the trash. I couldn't. I couldn't handle it. It was a lot, a lot.
I've been on the 3s so long. I put a 6 in and it rocks my sock off.
Yeah. The 3s have been getting some hate on the meme game lately. I think I already sent you one, but like I've seen like 7 or 8, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to berate them with it because anyway. So, but I've seen quite a few that are like just like this is for all the men that use 3s or whatever. Anyway, it's been kind of funny. Yeah.
Kiss my ass. I have a 3 in all day long.
The least amount you can get away with, honestly, I'm sure is better, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
they've got some studies out there on dosage and stuff, and like actual because they are putting out studies about the benefits of nicotine consumption, right? Like in just its purest form, nicotine consumption, and those studies. I wonder what the dosages are on those studies that they found those positive results. If it was like more than what we would think, or if it was like a little bit.
I don't know. Huberman did a whole podcast on it, or about like the effects of nicotine and stuff, and he dove into like how it is neuroprotective, but like that's also like at a certain point, like your brain needs to be fully developed, which we know now is not until after you're 25 years old. So using it before 25 years of age is obviously not good. Yeah. Well, I mean, like think about it. Like that's probably the first stimulant other than caffeine that people get their hands on, like as teenagers. So like the negative effects cannot be.
When did you have your first chew?
Me?
Yeah. How old are you?
I don't know. 18, maybe 17.
Oh my gosh. You're an adult.
I was like 14 or 13.
Yeah, I was 14.
But I was like afraid of doing bad stuff though, like in high school. Like I was like super straight shooter.
You're still afraid of doing bad stuff.
Yeah, I am.
I was 14. I think 14. I bummed a chew a Timberwolf. I couldn't remember if it was Timberwolf wintergreen or if it was Grizzly wintergreen on the way home from a football game on a Friday night, and I puked in the driveway and pretended for years like my dad didn't know. I'm sure he knew. He heard me hurling. But then like a year later, and I stayed away from it after that. I was like, nope. Well, a year later, I started hanging out with a really good buddy that I high school rodeoed with. Jared Cook is his name. We're still really close friends. And so I got in the truck with him and went to go spend a week on spring break with him building some fence, working for some guys, and we were on the way to his place. He picked me up. We're on the way to his place. He was like, "You want some of this?" And it was Copenhagen long cut, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I bet we went through 8 cans that week. We were just like every 10 minutes, "Hey, where's the Copenhagen at?" He'd toss it to me, and that was the beginning.
Yeah, I never did that. Yeah, I would like socially, like if we were hanging out or something, like I would try one, but like I never got hooked on chew by any stretch of the word.
Yeah, it's a rough life. I have a very addictive personality.
Same, buddy.
Here we are. 20 years later.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same for me too.
Yeah.
Yep, I was hooked instantly. 14. I was so buzzed I couldn't stop laughing for like an hour. Oh man, I'll never forget it. It's one of my best friends from childhood too, and we were like in Cimarron, New Mexico, and we were just doing ranch shit. And one evening he's like, "You should try the snuff." It was Copenhagen snuff, the original shit. And I took a tiny little pinch, and he's like, "When you start feeling good, just spit it out." It's like, all right. So I start getting a little dizzy and like giggling. He's like, "All right, spit that shit out." and thank God I did because I probably would have puked. But
Yeah.
it's like the best and worst thing that could have happened. It's like, here's a really good experience with this. You're gonna want to do this a lot more.
Yeah.
But
when the Zins first came out, like I hadn't even heard of them yet, but I saw them at a gas station. I was working construction, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I had heard of like bodybuilders using nicotine as a supplement to like help power through workouts and stuff, but I hadn't dove into it a whole lot. But it says like right there on the can, like no tobacco free, like just nicotine. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm actually interested in that. So I bought it, having like zero expectations. I bought the 6s because I didn't know the difference. And the guy that I was working with, he was like, hey, let me try one of those. So I gave one to him first, and then I put one in. And like 10 minutes later, we're like, whoa, like this is awesome. Like we feel really good. He's like, I feel like I just drank a beer. Like I'm kind of buzzed. And then 10 minutes after that, he was puking in the porta-john, and I was like sweating bullets outside the porta-john, about to puke myself. And so we didn't do any more after that.
We didn't do any more after that.
That's so good.
That's funny.
Tyler, did you find any info about what's going on with Zyn?
Yeah, I mean, so they're still in a bunch of lawsuits and everything over trying to get approved, and so they haven't been approved. But the
is it the FDA or is it the FDA that's approved? Okay.
Yeah, but the FDA has approved only one company called Verve, and then I went to look them up, and they're now discontinued. So
that's interesting. So everybody's just flying under the radar selling these things. Huh?
Yeah, that is wild.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. That is.
Bunch of outlaws.
Bunch of outlaws. Yeah, I'm finding them anywhere I can and just kind of stockpiling them because I don't feel like running out of those.
True
just
that.
got done with man. We just had a big week. Logan has a big week of baseball with the kids.
Had a big week of dadding, but I'm excited to hear about OPA. I all the content and all the stuff that you guys put out. I'm sure the best is yet to come with Chase's stuff. But
Chase's videos
I can only imagine. But the stuff that you guys have already put out definitely given me some FOMO. It looked like it was just absolutely outstanding.
You were there. You were there in your writing in the textbook. We would be teaching and reading.
We did laugh at your
jokes.
Lines.
Oh man,
yeah.
I'm like that is the most Logan thing
Logan
ever.
wrote this part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That's funny. It was good.
Got you.
OPA was awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Yeah. No, it was good, dude. It was good. We definitely wish you were there, but you were definitely there in spirit, no doubt, through the book. And we'll talk about that in a second. I want to touch on, I went to Grand Junction and Reagan Rally in between the OPA. Grand Junction hasn't had a pro rodeo in 30 years, which is, it just fires me up seeing those roots get reconnected. I mean, that town is an ag town. They started and still are, major farming, lots of ranching. And to not have a pro rodeo there seems kind of wrong. So, one of my groomsmen, well, actually, he married Al and I, Tanner. His wife she ran the Budweiser Event Center over in Loveland and did all the circuit finals and all that stuff. And so they moved to Mesa, which is in Grand Junction. She's like, I'm bringing it back here. So she literally in 5 months put this together. And Kirsten Vold went over there with her stock, and it was just a cool rodeo. 4,000 added, lots of young kids, seeing lots of young guys doing our warm-ups, which was really cool. Got to talk to a lot of kids that listen to the podcast. And I say kids, they're in their early 20s, right? They're just getting started in pro rodeo, but it was just good to get to connect with guys and get to chat with them, and just lots of questions about what we're doing. And then I also got to see the other side, and there's still a lot of work to do. we still, and I'm not taking, like, dude, go have your beers, go drink a beer with your buddies, go do what you're going to do. But there's definitely guys that are not doing things the new way, and that's okay. But you just got to realize you're going to get your ass beat in competition at some point or later, whether it's now or in a year from now or 2 years from now. It's just not sustainable. But it's cool, man. The Reagan Rally fired me up even more because the qualifier, dude, so many young guys are so good. It was nuts. Like the crop of bareback riders coming up is insane. And it was just cool, man. It was cool to see kind of the vets, Richie, Bennett, Tilden, all these guys, like they're still riding great. But these 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, they're coming for him, dude. Like, and
it was cool to see old Cashton Ford qualify in there alongside Richie and Caleb and stuff. Like that was badass.
He was in the toughest. That last set was it took an 87.5 to advance out of the last set. And Cash went out there and put 88 on him. And I gave him a fist bump and I said, go let him know who you are. And he gets off and he just looks at me. He's like,
yeah, that's awesome.
It was ranked, dude. But we've seen him since not the beginning, but man, over the last 2 years, got to see him develop, got to work with him a lot. And we knew from the first time we saw him get on a bucket horse, like that kid's got it. Like he's going to be something. And he's spurring buckers like NFR horses. I mean, it's awesome, man. And that just proves again the point of like how you start getting that good foundation is so key to doing it. But I also had some really interesting conversations that they weren't like disheartening, but it was just kind of like, man, guys still don't get it. They still don't understand the point, right? And I'm not going to name names. We're talking with an athlete, and I got a couple of my guys. I got Bigelow here and Bennett, and we're all talking about working out. And one of these guys comes up, and he's like, I just can't make myself do it. I just can't make myself work out. Like I get fired up about anything else, but I just can't make myself go to the gym. And then we're like, okay, well, that's not the end of the world. Like, but you still need to be actively working on something. You could do a 20-minute mobility session and it would help you out, right?
Yeah.
And the bottom line,
fired up to go change the oil in my car.
Yeah, but I still have to
do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing
I'm not fired up about it.
No, I hate it. And that's a maturity thing though.
Yeah.
Right. It's as we get older, we realize that like, okay, we got to do this shit even though we don't want to. And if young guys could start adopting that mindset earlier in their career, how much further could they get? And we've said that a million times, but it bummed me out when I heard that, because the guy's talented, can make the NFR, yet is lazy, like unwilling to change, unwilling to do anything differently. Then straight up looks at us and he's like, can you touch your toes? And all three of us stand up in our mid-30s and can touch our toes just fine. Guy can't even get halfway down his legs.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, he's like, what do you say? I'll work out when I have to, like when it gets to that point. And I looked at Biggs and Bennett and I said, what's the biggest piece of advice? And they said, start now, dude. I wish I would have started before I had to, because now we're sitting here, started when we had to 4 years ago, and we have 10 years behind us. What, like, you have the best in the world telling you the information, and yet you still are that stubborn about it. It drives me fucking crazy. Sorry for the F word, but dude.
No, you're right, man. You're 100% correct.
And I was thinking I was about to get on Instagram Live on the drive home because I was fired up about this last night, dude. I was fired up. Because it just comes down to, you don't want to win that bad. Like, you are okay with being just good. You don't want to be great. You are freaking lying to yourself when you say, I want to make the NFR, I want to make the finals, I want to be a world champion. No, you don't.
Yeah,
no, you don't at all.
Yep.
You want to dream about it, and you want to think about it and think you're fucking just cool enough that, oh, maybe it'll happen if all the cards lined up. But you want to take no action, and no one's saying that, dude, you're not that good. You're not going to make it. That will not work. Do you? But it ain't going to happen. It just won't.
Yeah.
It's like no one's out there being that real with people.
No,
still about this, you know?
That's what I was thinking about, like with PBR team season wrapping up or starting up, right? And like all these boot camps are about to take place, and they're all about to bring in some military guys to put them through hard things together so they build teamwork. And it was so funny because I saw a guy yesterday, strength coach, that like remixed a reel and called out I can't remember if it was a basketball team or a football team that brought in a Marine, and he was like,
what
the
fuck?
No. No, your athletes deserve better, you know? And it was really interesting because he was like, they always want to do hard things, right? You know what's hard? Getting 8 hours of sleep, eating real food. That's also hard, right? Like, and so it was interesting to see that. And I think we see a lot of athletes in rodeo that they maybe wrestled, for example, in high school. And so they worked their guts out in high school. and then they pursue rodeo afterwards because they don't have to work out. You know what I'm saying? They're burnt out and they're over it. And I've been getting some clients lately that same thing. They've lifted a bunch in high school. They were active in sports, and then they took a 3, 4, 5 year break because they were just sick of the weight room, and now they're seeing the purpose. Well, what about if you would have continued, even it doesn't have to look, nor should it look like what it did in the football weight room or in the wrestling or anything like that. But if you wouldn't have taken that break, and if you would have just continued through, where would we be today? You know, and same thing for these young guys. But I do think that we're seeing it. I do think that we're starting to see it.
I thought on the post thing, I thought you were going to reference. I saw one. I think maybe Challenger Strength or somebody posted it, but it was along the similar lines. Like they were talking about the same thing. They were like, buds. Like everybody wants to do like this bud style, like boot camps for sport, but buds like isn't designed to train you up. It's designed to weed out
you.
Yeah, it's designed to weed out the people that are naturally gifted or like naturally able to tolerate certain scenarios. And so like it's designed for you to fail. And so why in the hell would you set up your team sport with it like you have a roster set and then try to make them fail? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and it's certainly not going to make them any better in the long run. It's not going to help them long-term development. A lot of these boot camps, they're getting on bulls too. So they put them through these like crawling through the mud, blah, 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 horrible nutrition, lack of sleep, and we're going to strap cattle. Come on now. Like it's just,
how can we
unfortunately,
expedite the
it's
injury?
not. It should be common sense. It's not, but it should be. And the issue is that I respect the heck out of those coaches. Those guys that are doing it, they are legends. The coaches there, you go down the list and those guys are legends in the sport. But just because they have the background, they were successful without proper training. You know what I'm saying? Think about what would have happened if they would have had proper training. And I think that's where, like, I hate to rag on some of those guys that are just not doing the right thing by their athletes. They're trying to do something, kudos there, but they're certainly not setting their athletes up for success by having them do some, military style, whatever. Like, what are we doing here? Wasting time.
Yeah. And just beating up the athlete even more in a sport that already does that. It's the same thing we talk about as being a professional athlete. We talked about this at the school at OPA, which I think is going to be a good transition. But like your job as a professional bull rider or a professional coach is not necessarily to be a professional strength and conditioning specialist either. Like if you're a bull rider or a horse rider or a team roper or a calf roper, barrel racer, breakaway go tie, whatever you do, that is your job. That is what you need to be really good at. All of the things you need to be good at within your job, hire out to make you better at those things, usually, once you hit a certain level. But that's where OPA comes into play, man. We talk about, I brought it up, but like there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a big culture swing that needs to take place in order to get everyone on the same level as what we believe, right? As what we think is the right method to training. Hey guys, we got some exciting news for you. If you're listening to this, we know that you're committed to upping your game in the arena. And we're teaming up with the Rodeo Now app to help you do just that. The Rodeo Now app allows you to record, upload, and catalog your rides and runs, review your performances in slow motion, and our favorite feature, if you're not familiar with your stock draw, you can search your animal by name to get all the intel you need to make your next ride a winning one. Join the rodeo revolution today and download the Rodeo Now app for free. It's available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. And OPA was the opposite side of that. We got to see a group of guys that was so hungry you couldn't turn it off, dude. They showed up. They invested in themselves. It was a great week. It was it's hard to come up with. Still having trouble finding all the words for it because it takes me a minute to kind of soak it all in. But it was awesome. It was so refreshing to see a group of guys like that, hungry, willing to learn, so coachable, and like when they left their family, which is again, we see that with every OPA, but that's one of the coolest things is the culture that's being created there. What did you think, Paul?
Man,
This is
like
your gig,
honest,
man. This is your
yeah, I
this is your
know,
dream day.
it's still that's what I'm saying. Like it's still hard to come up with like the words because um like I don't know. This is this is where I saw myself like 5 years ago doing like an OPA for bull riding, doing this type of thing, and like it didn't seem possible then. But we found a way. And so like it's just hard. It's really surreal. So it's kind of hard to like you said, just wrap it all up into one word. But I guess kind of some of the key takeaways. One of the really cool things that I noticed was like you said, those guys were really hungry. This was probably like the most athletic group that we've ever had. I think every single one minus one of them either was a client or had been a client at some point. And so like they were all athletes, and the one that wasn't a client was a collegiate athlete, so he was probably the most athletic of all of them there. So like
Dude,
it was 10 just straight up stud athletes, and that was really cool. Some of the other things that kind of stood out was like they didn't want it to end, which I mean we've had that, you know, at every single one. Like we get done and it's like, oh crap, now we have to go home. Like, can we just keep doing this? But like they wanted more like classroom stuff. They're like, what else can we learn? Like, you know, how else, like what more can we get from this? And so I thought that was really, really cool to see. Was like, you know, that was one of the things that when developing OPA, we're like, you know, we need this much classroom time, but like, you know, are we going to lose them? Like, how are we going to keep them engaged? And like, there was none of that. Guys were asking questions from the word go. They were engaged. Like it was another level than what we've even had previously. And so yeah, it was just a rock star group of athletes. Some of them are already out there kicking ass this weekend. So I'm really looking forward to what those guys are able to accomplish this year.
Yeah, it was awesome.
How were
like you said, like, go ahead.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to ask. I only got to see very, very little bit in clips on reels and stuff, but the bulls looked really, really good. And how was the bucking portion of all of that?
It was awesome.
It was outstanding. Yeah, we got a big shout out. What is it? Tough Enough Rodeo. Tough Enough Rodeo Company. They're based out of Colorado. They do a lot of amateur rodeo, high school rodeo, but they care about the guys. It's the coolest thing. Like they showed up, we'll buck any bull you want as many times you want. If a guy wants to get on the same bull 5 times, I do not care. We're here for you guys. We're here to make them better. Literally, you tell us what you want. And we got to, and like by we, the coaches that understand bull riding, got to pick out, you know, what the guys were going to get on. Hey, and by the end, I was getting pretty good at it. I was figuring it out.
Yeah,
but
Doug, second day bull riding Doug was different than first day bull riding Doug.
I was looking at Paul. I'm like, that happened because of this. He was like, yeah, actually, good job. But they were so great to work with. They were just stand-up people, man. I feel like everyone that we've worked with in these deals has been like that, has gotten the vision that we put forward and understood it from the beginning. And it's so nice, man. It's the biggest part of what we do when we're seeing success in the arena is those stock contractors. Like we could not do it without these guys bringing the correct stock for this, because these guys have all the fundamentals in the world. They have a really good foundation. Those 2 days they spent on the stationary barrels, they were killing it. They look so different in that 24-hour time span, right? From 1 to 2. But when we start getting to that full speed action, we all know how hard it is to start reversing those bad habits then, right? You immediately go to what you're programmed to do. And it's like, yeah, you just nodded your head and did nothing that we talked about, right? Yeah. But if we can get bulls that are at a level that it's not as scary, right? They can actually think about the thing they have to do to be successful, to ride the bull. They get so much more confident, so much faster. And so like the first 2 head for everybody, the guys that were a couple of guys were really advanced, they rode great. Some of those newer guys, we immediately saw those bad habits come into play. It was like, oh, no, we didn't do that, right? Why? That's not the stationary barrel. You didn't do that at practice. Why are we doing that now? It's just because you're not slowing down and thinking, right? You're trying to do I'm going to use Anthony as an example, Bonifer, because he's been one of my clients for years, and the kid is uber talented, but he was like me, like he tries so hard, it's almost too much. Like he wants to do everything correctly instead of just focusing on those two things and really hammering those. And it took him 4 or 5 bulls to figure that out. But once we got him slowed down and breathing and just like, you get the start perfect and everything else is going to happen after that. You don't need to think about after. Start it perfect. That's what Cody's was about. Cody Custer, man, big shout out to him. Thank you so much for coming up, dude. It was awesome to have him there. Incredibly humble. He's like, yeah, I kind of know about bull riding. I'm like, well, yeah, you only have 8 NFR qualifications and 9 PBR final qualifications, and pretty much was a founding father of the PBR. So you got a little bit of information, but it was great to have him there. But yeah, the guys that the stock is, they were great, man. I can't brag on them enough. And from what I hear, they got horses just the same. So
That's awesome.
We can hopefully start venturing out there and doing some horse riding stuff with them. I'd love to do that. The fairgrounds was cool. We were at the Colorado State Fairgrounds. Man, just being completely honest, we've done a lot of these things, and it was not my favorite production crew to work with when it came to in an arena. And I understand it's like in the middle of Pueblo, in the middle of the city, but it was just a little bit of a shit show there with some things that shouldn't have been. But it all worked out.
Just made it hard on the behind the scenes stuff. Like
I was very busy.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Yeah, we didn't have full autonomy over when and where we could move about the arena, so that made it difficult. But other than that, it was the school itself was perfect.
School was incredible, and the guys got from day 1 to day 2, just like we've seen the horse riding, the unreal steps up that these guys made.
I'm gonna put side by side videos together today, and it's like it's insane. It is absolutely insane.
I can't believe we haven't done that more with our schools, like the transformations almost. But I feel like there's just so much good info that comes out of these that we just want to get all that out for there. But we kind of decided this time we're going to put these. Here's ride 1, and here's their last ride. This is what happened throughout their whole journey over these 2 days, and it's going to be so cool to see because that's bringing to life our theory. Like that is the scientific, if you will.
So that was the scariest part. Was like I was worried that like the formula that has worked so good in the horse riding OPAs, like I don't know why, but I was so scared that it wouldn't transfer in bull riding. I was scared that like maybe it's different. Like maybe the queuing is different and it just won't work. Like maybe we need more time. But it did work, and it was so cool to see. And like you were talking about that first day, some of the guys were getting a little frustrated because, we're kind of changing their riding style a little bit. And that was one of the big things that we tried to get across to them. It's like, we don't want to necessarily change your style, but like there's certain things that work and there's certain things that don't work. We don't want you getting stuck with the things that don't work. So you need to make sure that you have the fundamentals down. You have this foundation. Cody kept referencing like the strong position. Like this is like, you always have to get back to the strong position. And on a couple of the guys, especially the more advanced guys on the first day, they're getting, by the time they got on their 4th or 5th one, they're like getting frustrated because they're trying to implement this new stuff and it's like just not coming together because they're thinking too much and like trying to go too fast. And then on the second day, we're like, all right, throw it out the window. Like we're going to ride to the whistle, do what it takes to get to the whistle, and we'll worry about corrections afterwards. Holy crap, dude. Like it just all started coming together for him. It was incredible.
Yeah. Hui has the best gear because it's tough. It's durable. It withstands the test of what we put it through. And that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout.
Huge. We also just added more like advanced, not necessarily more advanced bulls, but they were just a little bit quicker, so they couldn't think about it. And like one of my favorites was still Jaden there at the end when he got smacked in the mouth and dude sat up and made like one of the best rides of the whole school. And it was just really cool.
It was really cool, man. That last pin. Okay, that was my favorite part of the whole riding because you know how it gets, Logan. After lunch, everyone eats and it's just like energy is down. Like it is, and it's like Honestly, the first couple rides after lunch are kind of like, ooh, like, all right, boys, you need to wake up here. Like, we're back at it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like that on day one. But on day two, they were kind of moping around after lunch, and I was tired. Like, everyone's a little tired. And looked at my wallet. I got $50. I'm like, all right, let's go. I got $50, high marked ride. You enter as many times as you want, get on as many as you want. I don't care. Who wants $50? And then Nick, not like it next to me, he's like, I got 50 on that. Let's go. And he goes, you know what? No, I got 500 in gift certificates, 300 to the first place, 200 to the second place. Dude, these guys came with it. It was freaking rank. Like, and the contractor, like, what do you want to load up? We were like, we want all level 2 bulls. Like, we want that next step up. Let's help them out. Like, you know how when guys get on horses, Logan, and they're like, I need less. Even if one runs, that's better. And it's like, dude, no. Riding a running horse is way freaking harder than riding one that bucks, right? Because they actually help you. And these guys, all the first couple days in the beginning, were getting on just jump kickers straight down the pin, which is great. They were getting those mechanics. But after a certain point, it's like, okay, you're not getting any better here. We've got to get on something that helps you move and helps you keep getting there, right? So that's what they started getting into. And, dude, these guys came with it. And there were some of the guys that even had a rougher week rose up to the occasion, and it was badass to watch. It had me so fired up. And like you were saying with Jaden, like, dude, he straight up like chest and face all the way down on this bull and just sits back up and goes back to him.
He grabbed his tail. He was about to check out. And then like somebody said, keep riding, and he lets go of his tail, and then he goes back to it. It was badass.
Yeah, me and Chase literally from the back of the buck and sheets told him, do not, you keep riding right now. And he just sat up and went to whipping on this thing, man. It was a cool.
That's
it was
so cool.
That's
cool, awesome.
Man.
That's awesome. That's what that's been the game plan the whole time. I mean, when we were sitting around Doug's kitchen, 2-3 years ago, we were all sitting around the kitchen in Colorado, and we're like, you know what we need? We need a school, and we need a school that's different than any other school. And we need to be able to, like, we just kind of hammered out, like, what are the principles that we want to teach? What do we want to, like, how do we want to help? And now here we are, 2-3 years later, and we've had quite a few of them under our belt, and seeing the principles, the theory that we had from the very beginning, like, it's molded and changed as we've gotten into the practicality of putting on the events, but it works. And it's changing at the trajectory of athletes' lives. I mean, we've worked with, at these things now, we're up to like, 60 or 70 athletes, maybe more, that have come to one of our deals between the buck and horse riding and the bull riding. And I know we've done some college stuff too, but, like, I mean, it's trickling over, and it's going to change. It's going to change the trajectory of their career, and then hopefully the way that they, like, help other people along the way. Like, it's changing culture one athlete at a time. And that's how you make those big changes. They don't happen overnight. And anybody that ever accuses Champion Living Fitness of being an overnight success obviously hasn't been around since the beginning, because it's been an uphill battle the whole way, fighting, clawing, scraping for every little step. But I mean, like, we're certainly not at the top of the mountain, but I can turn around and I can look and I can see we're not where we were either. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not where we were. And that's so cool. And it's so cool to see it in person with clients like that. I love it.
It was, man. And then little Riley, kid shows up, broken hand, can't even get on bulls, but sees the value in investing himself and wants to come learn everything he can without getting on. And, like, there was 5 or 6 guys that got hurt and fucking bailed and went back on their obligation they made, their commitment, right? Because of that. And then you have one kid that shows up injured, and, like, that kid is going to be whatever he wants to be. If he wants to be a world champ, I guarantee he can be a world champ. Like, showing that kind of, man, dedication is not the right word, but just like, what's the,
I don't know, maybe dedication is the word, because I mean, he hungry, asking questions, taking notes the whole time. When it came down to, like, when we're to buck bulls, and he's like, I can't really, like, do anything. And I said, well, like, make sure that you listen. Like as soon as a guy comes off and he's about to get coached by, Cody or Chase or Andrew or me or whatever, Nick, like go listen and soak it all up. And man, sure enough, as soon as a rope hit the ground, he was right there next to one of the coaches, like waiting and like taking videos of what they're saying and stuff so he can remember everything. And like he was all about it.
Yep. And we had there's a little side note, but we had all the guys download the Rodeo Now app and showed them how they can upload stock to it. They can upload their own rides and do the slow motion to review their rides and stuff. So it was a really cool tool to use with them. And I've been talking to all the contractors I've seen around it too. We talked to the bull riding contractors for our school, and then I talked to Kirsten about it. And it was actually interesting because Kirsten's pretty good about getting video of her stock. Like she has a stockpile, but she's doing it on YouTube mostly. And I started talking to her about the app. Well, you heard about this. She's like, kind of, like, what is it? And so I start telling her, she's like, oh, no, I do that on YouTube. I'm like, I'm good. And I was like, all right, but like, I get it, but you're just doing the same thing. You're like, instead, you could do it all in together, essentially. Like you just make a profile and then it's done. She's like, oh, that's just too much. And she came back to me like after an event. She's like, what was it called again? I'm like, Rodeo Now. And she's like, I need to do that. I'm like, it's not like, I get that it's a change, but if we can get everyone here to this platform, it's going to make life so much easier for everybody. And the sport's going to evolve even more, especially the stock. It's going to get the recognition that they deserve. There's going to be history, records of them. And when everyone can upload them by themselves, like the contractors at some point, like once they're past their Colts and everyone's doing this app together, you don't really have to upload much after that. Like it's getting built for you, which is the cool thing. Once you make the profile for your animal or you as an athlete, like there's no more building that. It's just things getting added to it, which is sick. So if you guys haven't, anyone listening, download Rodeo Now. You can download as a fan or as a athlete contractor. So pretty cool stuff. It's free to download, like I said, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, but it's going to be another revolution in the game.
That's the best content on social media anyway. It's like what I spend my time scrolling looking for, right? As I'm like looking for guys' rides. And so I can comment or like scrolling through, and I have to scroll through so much junk. And then they have that like feed page on there where you just go and you just see all the stuff that's been uploaded. And you can scroll through like social media and just see rides. And you don't have to deal with all the other mess. Like so even as a fan, like it has a value there, being able to see what's going on in the world of rodeo, professional and otherwise, around the country. Like what else could you ask for? I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool deal, man. It really is. What else we got today? What else happened to OPA? Man, I feel like we did pretty good wrapping that up. The PBR SPC was an incredible facility. Big shout out to Jen over at there, man. She's so great. She was so helpful. I mean, catered to us, anything we needed. Even after the last day, went back open to the facility, let the guys get in the cold tubs, get in the recovery sessions, like just went above and beyond for us. So I really got to give a big shout out to her, Jen over at PBR SPC. And any of you guys that had a bad experience with the PBR SPC a while ago and have written it off, I highly encourage you to go back and give it a fresh look, because things look a lot different now, in a very, very good way. And that facility is being run extremely professionally. Jen is outstanding at what she does. She has a ton of background in sports athletics.
And if you have your PBR card, your access to that facility is paid for. So utilize it.
It's in your membership.
Wow.
Yep, it's in Pueblo, guys. Stop it. Like, all you have to do is holler at her. If you're going in between rodeos, you're going, like, you want to get a quick workout in, get a recovery session in, whatever. She can even call in massage therapist. I mean, obviously you have to pay for the service, but it's all right there, which is, it hasn't happened in rodeo. And that's one thing we're missing. That's what I loved about the facility, is it gives these guys an opportunity to feel like a professional athlete, to feel what other, like, they're training like for real. And nothing against, we do what we can. Like, but most of the time we're in an arena with bands, baby. Like, that's all we got. We don't get to go in these badass facilities. So to show up there and not even just have it be a badass facility, it's made for rodeo athletes. It's made for bull riders. Like, It was cool, man. They had a whole room with all of their skill specific stuff in there. Stationary barrel, drop barrel, whatever you need. And then you just walk through the glass door and you're in the gym. And then you walk through another glass door and you're in the ice room and all that stuff. It's sick. It's underutilized for sure. So any of you guys that are in the PBR, go use that facility. It's worth it. Totally worth it. Coaches there, Andrew, Chase. We always try, Nick. We try and bring guys with us that they don't even always have to work out with us, but they understand what we do and they get it, right? And I was a little nervous because I knew that these guys knew how to work and knew how to train, but that doesn't always mean that they're going to be a good coach, right? Mm-hmm. And we see that a lot. Guys can be world champs, but they cannot tell you how in the hell they do what they do. They can't. And they talked about this too. We were talking about somebody, but they had a get together of some of these older guys that are PBR teams coaches, and they were talking to some younger, just bull riding coaches and like what these PBR coaches are looking for when it comes to bull riding and what these schools should be teaching, right? And what they're kind of seeing is these guys that were very talented and are extremely decorated, if you will, like in bull riding, they cannot tell you how they did it. They talk about like don't be a puss, essentially. Like that was a lot of the things that were coming out instead of these really breaking it down into fundamentals.
Tactical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no tactical advice.
No. And we see this see it a lot, especially the more schools we do. We get some guys that are extremely talented at what they do, and then you get them into a breaking the skill down. And you're like, what in the hell are you doing? How do you do what you do? Like, we've all seen it. So I have that thought, man. It always worries me a little bit because just because you're really talented at what you do does not mean you're going to be good at reciprocating how to do it. And Andrew, Chase, Nick did an incredible job. It was awesome. It was so good, man. Their bull riding IQ is through the roof. They can regurgitate it in simple form for these guys. And you could watch some of those guys were having like light bulb moments too, with just little stuff, which is what we see with I love it with our coaches all the time. Because like, oh shit, I forgot about that. Like Cody showed Chase how to the way that he was teaching these guys to slide up to the rope, and Chase was like, hold up, show me again. He's like, why have I not been doing that for the last 10 years? And he slid up there and did it one time, and he was like, this feels so good. And then he left and went and won a check the day after he left the rodeo, the school, So it's cool to see those guys learn, but it's also just so refreshing to see really talented guys able to coach and to teach. And, the one thing we've all found is the best coaches are usually the guys that really sucked at what they were doing. And, like all three of us were not naturally talented, and we weren't, our history in rodeo does not prove anything, but I will tell you, we had to work really freaking hard at it. And looking, everything we've done now, reteaching is like, this is what we would have retaught this is how we would have done it. This is what we would have done differently. This is how, and it works. Here's the deal. Lots of rodeo gear companies are coming out, but not all are equal. Beastmaster is really setting the bar when it comes to the equipment that is built for durability and designed for success in the arena. You guys can check them out at beastmasterrodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That's ChampionLiving24. Going to save you a little bit at checkout. It works over and over.
If there's an upside to being a chronic overthinker, it's that. It's that you learn what works and what doesn't work really, really well. Mm-hmm. Whether you're able to do it or not is another story. But you have to.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say something we didn't talk about was like the light bulb moments, and like every single one of those guys, like we've talked about that at all of our previous schools. Like it's so cool. Like we live for the light bulb moments, like when they go, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. We had those like the very first day of fundamentals, and then they just continued and compounded the whole time. And so that was so super, super cool.
That's awesome. Dude, I love that. I love it. That's like my favorite part is seeing those moments, even if they're like not a successful ride, throughout it. It's those moments that lead up to the successful ride. And bull riding's a little different too. There's a lot more schools to go to in the bull riding. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different theories that can get dropped upon guys. And so there were some things that we had to correct on a few guys that it's hard, man, when you put in that many reps. Some of these guys put in years of doing it this one way, and so I'm saying all this to say, like, looking back for us, all of the overthinking we did, we found that keeping it simple is the best thing to do. And so no matter if it's the horse riding or the bull riding or and probably timed events too, it's do these 3 things, focus on these 3 things, and everything else is going to follow suit. All the training you did is you're training to react, right? Once we get out in that arena and we're out of the buck and shoot, or, out of the rope and shoot, whatever, there's no more thinking. It's just doing. So that's why you train all this time and train slow and methodically to make sure that in the full speed scenarios, it just happens, right? It's your natural reactions to do that. And you can't naturally react if you're thinking about 80 million things at one time. You have to just focus on a great start and then let your body do what you've trained it to do from there. And once those guys could trust that, they excelled in a big way, because you have to take your mind out of those rough stock events for sure. But, just focus on the basics and getting to it. And it was, like you said, those light bulb moments are so cool. And the best part, the funniest thing is, like, it's doing so much less than they think they should be doing is when they happen, Yep. They're like, wait, I just made sure I was off my ass and lifted on my rope and had a good starting position. That's all I thought about. And then all of a sudden the buzzer went off and I just spurred on a bull for 8 jumps. Like, absolutely. Just trust what you built,
That was a funny part. Even like on doing the stationary barrels and drop barrels and stuff. It's like, I think we had to tell everybody that, every single student. We're like, wait, do less. Like, stop moving so much. Like, you're wasting motion. Like, stop wasting energy and exaggerating motion that you don't need to. Like, just do less. And by the end, it was like, oh yeah, less works. Holy crap.
Do less. Yes. Yeah. Do less. Oh, it was awesome. Incredible OPA. Can't wait we'll be announcing horse riding's coming up, boys. Get ready. Bronc riders, bareback riders. We will be in Huntsville, Texas, 7th through the 10th of November at Cowboy Country. Same place as last year. We will be, I can't wait. I am so fine. I wish it was here now. Like I called Paul and I was like, can we do this again next month? Can we go? Yeah. Do it again. Let's roll it back. I had a moment there on my 15-hour drive home, about 2 hours there, where I was legit trying to figure out how we could do one in between now and November. And I said, I got down to 2 hours of thinking, and I said, why do you do this to yourself? Why in the hell would you do that to yourself? But it just fires me up. It's a love effort. I love it. I love seeing guys. Their dreams, they're getting closer to their dreams, man, at an earlier age, and it just makes me so freaking excited, because that's the whole point of why we started this. Is to help guys get there quicker, faster, healthier. And so it fires me up. But November will be here before we know it. Me and Logan were just talking yesterday about, or was it on my drive home too? I called you a year ago to the day we were driving the U-Haul up to my new house. Yeah. And I passed the gas station where you almost pooped your pants. I was like, "There's mine and Logan's gas station."
Yeah. That was a rough trip, but it's crazy how fast time goes. Because I was like, scary. I thought that was in the fall. It was like 6 months ago. He's like,
no, that was a year ago.
Nope, that was a year ago. I was like, okay, it was a year ago.
What did you say? So, you're like, you said something July, blah blah blah. And you're like, and then the finals will be here. I was like, hold up, don't.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
No, the NFR is going to be here before we know it. It's going to be time to.
We're 6 months out.
Yeah, halfway there, baby.
Like pretty much almost to the day.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yep, time flies. But OPA, huge success. I hadn't been to some rodeos in a while, so it was really good to get out to those. And Rig and Rally, I mean, you as a bareback rider, you can't ask for anything else. That's the coolest damn 2 days of rodeo in my book ever. It was cool. Best Spin of Horses. Big shout out to Bennett and Sparky and Cullen for setting those pins. I know that putting together 45 horses a day and making it even is tough, and they did an outstanding job. And big shout out to the judges, dude. They were giving re-rides. They were being like real. But Wardell was one of the judges, so that makes sense. And we've talked about that too. Guys that have done the event understand it. Yeah, Kelly
Wardell.
Yeah,
does he have his card?
I think so,
dude.
I think so. But I was really tickled when I saw him out there. I was pumped. Because that's kind of something that we've been saying forever is we got to get guys like that out there judging that get it. And specialize in it and understand how it all works, because the 73-year-old fucking team roper ain't doing it.
Yeah. Well, especially with the rise of like these extreme rough stock events, like why not have rough stock judges that know what they're looking at? And like
who was there was another young guy there too that you would have liked, Logan. He was and he rode broncs.
Oh, cool.
I just can't
remember. That's awesome.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That is cool, that is freaking awesome. I'm glad that they're getting those guys to come, because that's the most important aspect of it, is having judges that actually understand. Just because you've been to a seminar does not mean that you actually understand what takes place during those 8 seconds. No. And sure, it's a start, but it doesn't get you there.
Dude, if you're a new judge, go to some of these schools. Go get involved in the youth. Go tell them what you're looking for as a judge. Go learn more about the event if it wasn't your event. Go learn how it's being taught so you know what to look for when it's a successful ride. It's a hard job, dude. Watching the horse and watching the ride in 8 seconds and making a decision, it's tough. There's a lot of room for human error. But the more you understand, the more times you get those reps in of watching the thing happen, the better you're going to get at it. So, same thing. If I was to judge, I would go spend time at like a team roping clinic or a calf roping clinic or something, so I can understand what we're looking for in the actual event, right? Like, just to be around it, and being in it is huge. So,
well, the catch-22 is like the timed events aren't even judged. Like, you're just looking for disqualifications as a judge. Yeah. So like when it comes to the riding events, like there's style involved in that. And so like you have to understand not just the disqualifications, but you also have to understand the difficulty. You have to understand the style. Like it's way more complex to judge rough stock events than it is to judge timed events, where you're just looking for clean runs. And so like if you've always been a timed event guy and that you've never been a fan of the rough stock, or like even really cared that much other than just to collect your paycheck as a judge, like it's not good.
No. Yeah, it's not a good place to be. It's not good. Not doing anybody justice. No. Certainly not yourself. You're not gonna do the right thing when it comes to judging and stuff. And so, yeah, I think that's awesome that we're getting some fresh blood in. And I get people all the time. They're like, "Hey, will you go judge some IPRA rodeos?" Or, "Hey, will you get your PRCA judging card?" I'm like, "No. If I wanted to be broke and be back on the road, I'd just go ride bareback horses." Like, no, I'm not going back on the road to go judge. But we need. I mean, it's needed. Like, it is desperately needed. Those guys that willing to step up and get in there. I love it.
Well, your sales pitch just worked really good. So.
Hey, on a side note though, the pay I just saw, it wasn't. I just saw that there was a pretty substantial pay increase in judges within the IPRA, and they actually pay considerably higher than the PRCA by performance now.
Yeah, it was awesome. Almost the same, I think.
Yeah, it was about the same, and now it's substantially more, which is really cool. I think that's awesome, because that's what we need. I mean, outside, I understand there's a lot of expenses that go into rodeo, but if you can't afford, as an association or as a rodeo company, if you can't afford to pay your judges well, don't have one. You know what I'm saying? They're such a critical part of the rodeo itself and its success, and we're just going to give them the crumbs. Yeah, I don't think so. That should be one of the highest paid positions. We pay. I mean, announcers, entertainers. I get it. Like they're gonna sell tickets, and without tickets, you have no rodeo. But judges should be much higher up there than they are, in my opinion. As somebody that's done very mediocre judging, very semi-professionally, it's not easy, and definitely something that guys should be rewarded for sure.
Yep. And but IPRA has instant replay at their finals, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Already.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
Something to think on.
Yeah.
It's a good thing our time is up.
Guys, until next time. We'll catch you later. Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. Y'all can check them out at PWRpro.com. championlivingfitness.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk of discount.
If you want to learn more about our coaches and program options, make sure to swing over to our website at www.championlivingfitness.com. You can fill out the Become an Athlete form to set up your free consultation and have all your questions answered by a coach.